Hello, this is Riding with Ree, and today we're going to be answering a question that a lot of people have asked about the Pivo, which is which Pivo is better for horse riding, the silver or the red, and what is the differences between the two of them. I have both pods here. I'm very lucky that I bought the red a few months ago and I've been using it quite a lot, and Pivo actually spotted the content I was making with my red and very kindly sent me a Pivo silver along with a GoPro action mount and a tripod. So I actually have been spending time with both, and I'm going to show you today a full session with both of the Pivos. And our markers for success in this very scientific experiment today are going to be: can it follow me for a full loop in walk? Can it follow me for a full loop in trot? Can it follow me for a full loop in canter? Can it follow me jumping one fence? And can it follow me jumping two fences, so one and then around to another? Finally, the last two pieces we'll be measuring are the Instagram ability of the jump screenshot. So let's not pretend this isn't what we care about. If you want to share it on social media, you want a photo that is going to be like perfect. So there's no good if it's following you but actually it's on the far right of the screen, or it's following you but you only see half of the horse jumping the fence. We're going to look at the Instagram ability of the jump screenshots. And finally, I'm going to count the number of times that each Pivo loses me throughout the session. We've spoken about this before. The Pivo is not a perfect science. It definitely does lose you occasionally. That for me is something that I don't mind. I'm okay with it losing me a few times in a session and me having to pick it back up, in favour of not paying hundreds of pounds for the alternative tracking devices that are out there. But that doesn't work for everyone, so I do want that to be clear. Before we jump into this video, a little bit of housekeeping. Whilst I did indeed get the Pivo Pod Silver gifted to me by Pivo, which was wonderful, none of my content is paid for, sponsored by, or commissioned by Pivo. I create these videos because I can see that it's useful for you, and they are completely my own opinion. They're completely honest, and as you can see, we're being incredibly scientific with our approach today. If you are thinking of getting a Pivo, I would hugely recommend that you join the Pivo official horse Facebook group. I'm going to show you what that looks like here in the name. It's an amazing group of loads of different riders who have Pivos or want Pivos. They're sharing their good bits, they're sharing the things that aren't working for them. Pivo's also in there, so they are there responding to people if they're having trouble. So it's been really helpful for me as I've been trying out different things with my Pivo. I would hugely recommend that you join that group. Before we begin with the things that we're actually going to be measuring today, I do want to draw attention to a couple of things in my arena which are going to make it easier for the Pivo to track me and harder for the Pivo to track me. I think it's important to talk about this because everyone's arena and horse is different. So the first thing that you'll notice, which is going to make the Pivo, it's easier for the Pivo to track me, is that Ted is grey and our surface is black. So he really stands out against it, and this is something that will make it easier for the Pivo to track me. You'll also see that my background for most of the arena is pretty plain. I have some green fields, some sky, and then the black sand school. It makes it much easier for Pivo to track if you're sort of standing out in front of that background. However, on this particular morning, you'll see the light down the bottom end of my arena is really quite difficult. There's contrast that you get, and that sort of beam of light that is beautiful definitely makes it harder for Pivo to track me, and there is a couple of times that it loses me there. You'll also see that I have two jumps in the arena. I know some people have had challenges with Pivo tracking them around jumps and obstacles in the arena, so we're going to see how it copes with those, but that is something that is definitely going to make it more difficult. And finally, you'll see that down the one side of my arena, all of the horses are grazing behind, which, whilst beautiful, can definitely make it hard to track. And if the Pivo sees another horse, they might get confused, distracted, and not follow me and Ted. So that is the sort of things that's going to make it easier or more difficult for the Pivo to track. In terms of my arena size, it is about, I don't know the exact size, I'll be honest, but I think it's about 20 wide, a 20-meter circle width wide, and it's about 40 to 50 meters long. Pivo has a range of 10 to 30 meters. I have found that it can track me all of the way around, but it does get stuck if I go right up to the other end to like get on, for example. I do get lost sometimes, but I'll show you the footage and show you the range. So something to think about if you are working in a bigger space than that. And finally, I will put little icons on the screen when it is the red and when it is the silver, and I will call that out. But if you want a little bit easier way to know, if I am wearing gloves on my hands, I am riding with the silver. If I've taken my gloves off, I am riding with the red. I thought I'd put that in there to make a little bit of a distinction. Alright, let's go into it. I'm going to show you the red and the silver now, just so you can see the difference in the actual hardware. I'm not spending a huge amount of time on this because honestly what you get in the box is very similar. The Pivo box looks like this and the red box looks like this. So they're pretty similar, they just have slightly different designs. And the only real difference in the hardware on these two devices is that the red has a red band and the silver has a silver band. Other than that, everything that you get in the box is the same. The one thing that the silver is marketed for by Pivo is being 2 times faster, so in theory it should be a better option for your horse riding. We're going to test that out today. The reason that I'm measuring by walk, trot, canter and jumping is that I realise that not everyone who buys a Pivo needs it to do all things. So if you are looking to just do walk, trot, canter, perhaps the red is better for you. If you're looking to do everything, perhaps the silver is better for you. We'll go through that today and I will let you know. Alright, let's jump into this footage. I actually started my session with the silver, so let's start with that. I actually don't have my gloves on here because I put them on from the mountain block, but I wanted to show you me getting on, and as you can see, it has no trouble tracking me all the way to the bottom of the arena, which I was surprised by because I have had problems before with it losing me as I go to get on and then me having to sort of pick it up again. And again, I'm stood right under that light beam, and right now it's not having trouble seeing me. So let's see how it copes with just a walk of the arena. Remember, our measure for success for this first point is can it follow me around the entirety of the arena in walk. I will speed this up just a little bit, but do know that I'm fast forwarding. This is just in walk. So the real challenge here is going past that fence and going past that light beam. And you can see it loses me for a second, but then it locks back on, which is great. I'm just changing the rein here, doing the same thing on the other side. Now, if it was going to lose me, I would have thought it would have lost me down behind that jump, behind that light beam, or where the horses are. So this is all good so far. It did follow me for 1 loop in walk. It was only after I changed the rein and went back that it had a little loss. So we'll put the silver, yes, to 1 loop, but it definitely lost me just a little bit there. And remember, we'll be counting up the number of losses at the end of this video. Okay, let's go into the red. So I'm letting you watch me get on so that you can see whether or not it can keep on me even when I'm standing still and getting on. So far so good, it knows where I am. Now I don't know that I did a full loop of walk here. I'm just setting up my tripod. It was a little bit skewy, so I went in to edit my tripod there and like move it slightly. After that, the Pivo lost me, caught up with me again. I walked in front of it to catch me again. I've used the Pivo Pod Red for some months now, and I actually have quite a bit of footage of me doing walk and trot work, particularly in close quarters with the red. So instead of doing the footage here, because I actually didn't do a full circle in walk, I'm so sorry. I'd already warmed up at this point and forgot that I was doing a full circle in walk. I have plenty of footage from other days, so I'm going to throw that in here and show you a full circle of walk with the red, because it definitely does. It is able to do that for sure around this arena. So let's continue into trot. Let's jump back to the silver. So we're trotting around the arena, around the edge. Ted is looking great, bless him. He was so fresh this day, but it's keeping on me despite the light beam, despite the jumps, I mean, despite the horses in the field. So far, so good. Again, I will speed this up here so that you can it just moves us along a bit, but do know that this is all in trot. We definitely got a full loop of the arena there. Very, very happy with that. In fact, it keeps going, and I got about 3 loops out of that. I won't show you that just in the interest of time, but the silver had absolutely no trouble keeping up with me in trot. So yes, 1 point to silver. Let's jump back to the red and see if the red is able to do the same thing. All right, so checking that the Pivo was on me, and then pushing into trot. It nearly lost me there behind that jump, but didn't. I cut off the bottom of the arena there. I think I was just trying to get a bit of flexion out of Ted. So let's see how we get on. Going down to the far side of the arena now. It's a little bit sticky. I don't know if that's a speed thing. Oh, lost me. So yes, it did lose me there, and I had to come back round and pick it up by trotting in front of it, which I've talked about before. So I'm wondering if that may have been the jump that was in the corner there, but the red lost me there. Didn't do a full arena in trot. Lost me there again, and I had to come and pick it back up. I remember thinking, like, I don't know why it's behaving like this, because normally I haven't had a problem with the red, but I'm showing you the honest footage. It did lose me there in trot. Not ideal. I'm just trying once more again. A little bit sticky there with the jump, but stays with me. That said, it is showing the range. This is quite far away at the far end of my arena, and it is able to stick with me, if a little bit stickily. So that's the red. It's hard because I know that the red can follow me for a loop, but we're going off the footage today. I would say a half point there for the red, because I don't know that that really followed me around for an entire loop. All right, let's go into canter. This is where we're starting to test out the real capabilities of the Pivo, because we're getting quite fast. So let's go into the canter with the silver. Let's see how we get on. Please ignore Ted and myself. We are not looking terribly cute today. He had a day off the day before and was feeling quite fresh, so just ignore us. But loving our little canter, and actually it's probably a good test because we're going so quickly. Ah, lost me at the light beam. I thought that might happen. I've just come round again to pick it back up, so that was not a full round of the arena, so I've gone round again. Let's see if it can stay with me this time. So I think it picked up just before the just before the green and yellow fence. So if it can do a whole loop again from there. Yeah, it was a very, very sunny morning. It's obviously having a little bit of trouble. Oh, it's found me again. Excellent. That is a full loop of Canter in the Pivo Pod Silver. So let's put a full point down there. Let's see if the red can do the same. All right, into Canter there, down the bottom end of the arena. Getting stuck at the light beam there. I came around, picked it back up. That light beam was really causing problems for both of the Pivos, and hopefully you wouldn't have a similar situation with your light. But let's see, it's having no trouble tracking down here at the bottom. So it lost me at the light beam, but actually it kept up with me the whole way around otherwise. I have other footage I think I can put in here. In fact, I know I do. I'm pretty sure I have one from the day that Ted and I dressed up. So have a look at that. I'm pretty sure that is 1 point for the red of a full loop in Canter. Let's see how they cope with jumping one singular fence. So we've got a nice trot here. We're not going too quickly. We're fairly close to the Pivo. That is over fence 1. Easy to follow over one fence. It's carrying me all the way around the arena, hasn't lost me. So yes, the silver can follow me over one fence. 1 point for the silver. Let's go and see if the red can do the same. So I popped in front of the Pivo to pick it up and down the long side of the arena, quite far away now. It's keeping me there. It's a little bit more slow, I would say, and less smooth than the silver. Okay, got me, it picked me up. And I would say that was pretty accurate in the centre actually. So yes, 1 point to the red, we can jump one fence. Now, can we jump two fences? This is something that I was thinking about because one of the people in the Facebook group was like, has anyone tried it with a course? And I hadn't. So I put 2 jumps out either side of the arena and we're going to test those out. Something to mention is that this doesn't require the Pivo to sort of weave in and out of wings to follow us. So if you were to have a course up where the jumps overlap a bit, you might struggle a bit more. So that is something to bear in mind. But right now we're seeing if the Pivo can follow over one fence all the way around and over a second one. So let's jump back to the silver and see if it can do that. All right, so I've put my jumps up at this point. I started it quite far out from the fence just to show you how long it's able to pick me up for. So I've gone right round the bottom end of the arena and past one of the fences. I'm going to jump the cross pole here and then I'm going to do a sort of semicircle and come back over the straight bar. So we picked up Canter at the end there. The Pivo was able to stay with us. There we go, follow me there over the straight bar. Really, really pleased with that. So that is the silver. Now, the red, I remember, did not get on so well when it came to following for 2 fences. I had a lot of trouble. So we're picking up Trot here. We're going to trot down over the crossbar and then, as I said, over the straight bar. And the Pivo actually stays there. It's not able to follow me. So I picked it up again, ready for my second fence. And this was kind of frustrating because obviously no one wants to have to stop their session just to pick up a piece of tech. But I came round to my second fence here. Let's see how we get on. It's keeping me in the middle so far. And actually that is a great view of the fence. I will give Pivo that. But again, it stayed there. So if I'd have carried on and wanted to do the cross pole there, I probably wouldn't have been able to. So Pivo wasn't able to stay with me for more than one fence. It seemed to get stuck after I jumped. I think maybe the speed at which we're jumping makes it difficult for the red to follow. So I would say that red wasn't able to follow me for 2 fences. Let's see whether the red or the silver produces more Instagrammable content. And then straight after that, we're going to be looking at the film strip of all of the content I created and working out how many times each Pivo lost me, why it might have lost me, and the averages per minute. Let's look at the Pivo Silver's Instagrammability. So these are all the frames that the Pivo Pod Silver captured of me jumping fences. I would say my least favourite, or the worst I would say, is this one here where he's cut out of frame. And the best one, just based on the clip, how far it is in the centre, us, we look great, is that one with the green around it. The rest of them are actually pretty solid. I know we're jumping away from the Pivo at this point and we probably wouldn't put that up because we're jumping the other direction. You know, that's not Pivo's fault. If we were jumping in the right direction, they would have been really nice shots. So what you'll notice is that a lot of them are skewed slightly to the left or the right. And actually when I put content up on my Instagram, sometimes what I'll do is crop it square so that you keep everything central. But personally, I don't mind the fact that it's slightly off center. That doesn't bother me, but it does bother some people. So I would say that the Pivo Pod Silver's Instagrammability is pretty strong. There's only one shot here that I personally really wouldn't use. Let's look at the Pivo Pod Red. Now there are less screenshots here because I used the red second. I jumped with it less, as I said before. So there's 2 here actually that are just not possible to use. They're cut right out of frame, and actually the others, whilst they're great, and actually this one of green, Ted looks amazing and you could crop into it, they do skew slightly more to the left or the right, and that is based on, I would imagine, the speed of tracking. So because Ted is speeding up as he's getting to the edge of the fence, ready to jump, the Pivo is having trouble keeping up, so it's got us right on the edge of the frame. The one thing to remember though, of course, is that these were all single jump shots. There were none of these where I was able to jump one, go round and jump a second fence with the red. It just didn't have the tracking. Let's go into the losses per Pivo pod. So here is the Pivo pod red film strip. This is about 10 minutes of footage, and I've put a little pod every time the Pivo lost me. And if we were to look underneath these pods, you can see that the places that the Pivo has lost me is exactly where we predicted at the start of this video. It was where the light beam is, where the contrast is really difficult to find Ted under the light and the dark. It's where the other horses in the field are. If they were moving, the Pivo might have picked up on them and thought that that was us. And it's where the jumps are, so that contrast in colour again, making it difficult to find Ted. But this was 11 losses over 10 minutes, which is an average of 1 per minute. Let's have a look at the Pivo Pod Silver. Now, as I said, I warmed up with the silver and I spent more time with it. So there's actually about 20 minutes of footage, so twice as much here. The losses, again, are exactly the same. They are all around the light beams, all around the jumps, all around the horses in the field next to us. The Pivo Pod Silver lost me 12 times over 21 minutes, which is an average of about twice every other minute. So once every 2 minutes. I was actually so surprised that it lost me this many times, because when I was riding it didn't feel like this many, and you can see some of the gaps are quite large and some of them are really close together, so it's a little bit random, but it's all based, I guess, on contrast and lighting and speed and everything else. That sort of gives you a general sense of what they're able to do. I think what I would say is it's not an exact science. If you're doing a lot of slower work or groundwork or lunging or walk, trot, canter and not really anything else, then I actually think the red might well be okay for you. The one thing I would be mindful of is just that the tracking can be a little bit sticky. You saw on the footage, and it's a little bit slower than the silver. If you're looking for a Pivo that can follow you walk, trot, canter and jumping, I'd probably opt for the silver. However, as we've discussed, neither of these are perfect. They definitely lose you. They definitely don't have those perfect center screenshots. So if that's the kind of thing you're looking for, it may be worth waiting until Pivo does a few upgrades. They are working on a remote that you can put in, we're using the remote as a tracker, which you can put in your pocket, which will make it a million times easier to be tracked. Again, a lot of those updates are shared in the Pivo Pod horse riding Facebook group, as well as people sharing the kinds of things they want from Pivo. So it's worth putting those in there. It's sort of about weighing it up. Do you need it right now? Are you willing to spend hundreds of pounds and get a tracker that is, you know, really, really slick? Or actually, do you need something that's a little bit cheaper, that's going to lose you a little bit more, but gives you the kind of footage you need? Personally, the silver works for me. I create obviously social edits, and you can see my edits under the hashtag Pivo Riding with Ree on Instagram. It works for me. It does what I need it to. I only need short edits, but if you need something that is tracking the whole of your ride, this may not be quite right for you. But that is the difference between the silver and the red. I hope that that's given you a sort of sense of which one might be best for you. If you have any questions or comments, of course, leave those below. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. I do videos like this, as well as sharing my first horse share. So if you are in that part of your equestrian journey, your first share, your first horse, then do join us for the ride here on YouTube. See you next time.